animated art.
Welcome to Animated Art. This week we have another fascinating topic for you, 2D animation. To find out how 2D animation is done, we're going all the way to London. So, follow me. Oh, London is that way. London. Somewhere in this beautiful city, there's a studio where such a 2D animation production takes place. The Espresso Animation. We are here with Phil Valentin, the owner of Espresso Animation. He will tell us more about the production and the working process.
Well, this is a very tiny studio. We do not too many jobs simultaneously. I have a small crew working with me, so it's a bit like glorified freelance. And at the moment, we're just working on a typical, traditional 2D advertisement for Kellogg's, requiring a very small crew of people and taking a few weeks of time. And we are still drawing on paper, which is quite a lot of our work is still traditional paper-based. Scan that, color it digitally, work with some kind of backgrounds. We're going to do hand-painted backgrounds. But there will be shadows and highlights and packs that are going to be either CG or Photoshop. But that's very typical for us when we finish it off in the computer and deliver color files to the agency, who will then put it with their audio and broadcast.
As Phil explained, there are 3 working areas. First, there is the in-betweener. Second, the cleaner. And finally, the third is called the colorist. Let's have a closer look to the in-betweener.
What I'm doing now, I'm animating this scene. It's a heck of a lot of work. Every frame is very different. It's taking me days to animate something that'll take 2 seconds.
For this 15 seconds animation, Phil received an 8-picture storyboard, which then he had to expand to 380 frames. For some pictures, it takes almost forever until they're finished.
This drawing is like very, very scratchy, rough. It took me forever to just be happy with that. So I eventually, get to a finer, darker line. But my first drawings are usually pretty sketchy, like that one, see? So my spacing chart here is indicating the speed of the movement, and that's how I kind of control how this feels, really, how it moves.
The drafting was nicely done. And now we can already see the first animation. We are ready for the next step. Cleaning up. The cleaner, as the name says, cleans up the pictures. With help of a lightbox, she copies the drafts on a new paper, so the picture becomes clean and clear.
This will have a black line put on it, and it'll be very beautiful for tracing. It'll end up looking like this kind of line, which is extremely clean and scanner friendly and digital ink and paint friendly.
These pictures are then scanned into the computer. The next and the final step in the studio is the coloring. This is where everything becomes colorful. The colorist works with Photoshop or a special program called CV. To make the work easier and faster, he uses a design tablet. After all the work is done, the final work is then sent to the client. How is the communication with the client during the production?
Predominantly, I don't feel comfortable creating anything unless there's a clear understanding between myself, the people that work with me, and my clients, and whether that's the agency themselves or the ultimate client. If you don't have good communication going on, which is like phone calls, emails, whatever, then it's too dangerous. There's too much at stake. You know, if you create something that's wrong, it costs too much money, and it sort of like ruins the spontaneity of the process as well. So yeah, I'm very, very cautious, a bit paranoid, and I like to make sure that what we do is what they're expecting. So we go to great lengths with, like, is the hat this blue or that blue or this blue? Pick a blue, please. So yeah, lots of communication. But I did lots of ads for kind of like Kellogg's, very high-end sort of thing, which is like over 3,000 pounds a second. But that sounds like quite a lot, but then you'd have like a huge crew, and there'd be like so much detail and like crowd scenes or whatever. There'd be tons of effects, and it'd just be like a budget that would sort of make sense. There are not too many of those anymore. So
What about the copyright?
So in the advertising world, the likelihood of owning what you produce, pretty much zero, I think.
It really needs a lot of time and patience to produce such a short animation, doesn't it? Now we all know how it's done. Keep an eye on your box for the new Kellogg advert. So that's it for us today. See you next Monday in another episode of Animated Art. Good night.